And so I realized this was so important for me. All I needed to do was figure out what I wanted to major in. Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. It's Savannah Rose, and in this video I wanted to talk to you guys about why I personally took 2 gap years after high school. A lot of people when they're in high school think that they have to work really, really hard, have basically no life for all 4 years of high school, and then that'll help them go to college and be successful in life, and that a degree automatically equals success, and really that's not entirely the case. Then again, there's the other end of things where getting a degree does make things better, or going to trade school. Getting a degree can increase your value as a worker, and part of me knew that in school, but another part of me was always kind of against the grain. During high school, during my senior year when I was thinking about college, I was interested in going to UC Santa Barbara. I love the school. I've always been a beach kind of girl, and it was right on the beach. It was in California. It was still like kind of local, but I mean that didn't really matter to me. I loved the town. I loved the ambiance of the place, even though I've never been to Santa Barbara. Upon research, I realized it was a really hard school to get into. I right off the jump wasn't going to be qualified for it, and I didn't even know what my major was. And this was a big one for me because my dad's a strong believer in you don't need to go to college to be successful, primarily thinking about the people that go to school and they get a degree that they don't end up using, and then it's like, okay, you spent tens of thousands of dollars and for what? So here I am ruling out that college and the timing because I didn't even know what I wanted to do. All I knew was that I was moderately interested in hair and just doing hair and cosmetology. My dad was all for it because you're never going to be able to automate with like robots or whatever cutting hair and that whole experience, and if you did it would just be weird. Like I would never go to a robot hairdresser. Like, I really hope that people wouldn't do that. Anyways, he was behind it for that reason, and so I kind of just went with it. I'm the kind of person that unfortunately when I get an idea I'm like, okay, let's just go explore this. I'm just going to tell myself that I'm all in and then go for it, even if like I'm not really all there. I dabbled in drawing and I thought I wanted to have a t-shirt business at a certain point in time. I've dabbled in music and singing and I love it, and I would love to do something with it eventually at some point, but as more of a side hobby. I used to think I wanted to be a musician. Bless you. Bless you. Anyways, I took the idea, I ran with it. I can't remember why, actually. But for some reason, the idea of me moving to Texas to live with my aunt came up, and you guys know that whole story. It's just funny to me that I can't remember exactly why. I don't think that he was trying to like kick me out at the time. I think he just wanted me to experience something different, and for some reason, like, he just needed me out. I don't remember what it was, but for some reason, my dad wanted me to go to Texas to live with my aunt in their room, pay rent and all that stuff, and then go to school because there was a beauty school very close to her house, and it was a really high rated school, and it was I think 10 grand to go to the school, and so my dad wanted me to do that. So that was the plan at first. Then that came around and we were both slacking with doing FAFSA, primarily not me, but you know, he was hesitating about like financial and he wasn't sure if he could do it. And when it comes to school, unfortunately my dad has been very yo-yo-y. Like he always told me, I'll support you and I'll get you like through school so that you can do something for yourself, like as long as you're working towards being a more independent and like passionate adult that can make money and be happy, then I'll always be there to like financially support you. And that didn't happen. It didn't happen. The beauty school fell through, and then I lost interest, and then I just wasn't gonna do anything. At the time, the job I was working through had partnership with ASU, and I was like, oh, maybe I'll do online school. But I had no idea what I wanted to study. No idea at all. So I like talked to an online counselor. I started to get the ball rolling, and it never went anywhere because I had no idea what I wanted to do, and I didn't know what I wanted to major in. And one of my biggest fears was always, I don't want to waste a whole bunch of money getting a degree that I wasn't going to use. So I pushed it off even further. But at this point, it's been about 8-9 months since I graduated. No schooling. I just moved back to California. If you haven't watched it and you want the whole like getting kicked out after high school thing video, I'll put the link down in the description below so you can watch that probably before you watch this so you understand. I moved back to California to help my mom with my brothers, and my goal was to go back to school. I was going to live with her rent-free, accommodations covered, and I was going to go back to school. And then I dropped the ball again because school was expensive. She couldn't help me out with it. I couldn't afford it. I was working 2 jobs and then I left them because I was working 2 jobs and then babysitting my brothers for like 30 hours a week, and I just was exhausted and I just couldn't see it being a sustainable thing for me. I wasn't happy at the time. I was actually drinking a lot and smoking a lot, and it wasn't healthy for me, and I was in a bad place. So I didn't see it as financially conceivable for me to go to school at the time, so I put it off again. And again, it was because I didn't know what I wanted to study. I thought I did. I think at that point I wanted to study psychology, and I don't even really know what I wanted to do with it. I think I just wanted to study like the way people think, because it is interesting to me. It is something that I really enjoy learning about. But again, I just had moderate interest in it, and I'm like, you know what, let's just do that. We're just gonna go to school, we're gonna do that. And then I didn't go to school, and then I lost interest. Then my boyfriend saw that I was getting very interested in fitness, and he saw that I was passionate about it and being fit for myself and working out, and was really important to me. So he said, hey, how about you pursue personal training? And I had expressed interest in being a personal trainer before, but it was something that I didn't really go through with. And it's like, to get started, it's like $600 for the book and for the test and for everything. I did it through ACE, which is, I got started through ACE for $600. I paid $100 of it, and Benjamin actually helped me with $500 of it. In his words, he was making a financial investment in us, so that way I could bring in more money in the future, and I would be like paying him back for it by just being stable and all of that stuff. And at first I went ham on it. I was studying all the time. I moved out of my mom's house, moved into my dad's for personal and family reasons, and I was living in the living room with my dad, who also lived in the living room. And so at the time I worked at Orange Theory Fitness, and I would go to work and then I would come home and I would study, and I would either be studying or I would make a blog post or I would film a video. I rarely filmed videos back then, but I would do something like that. And I studied a lot, and I was almost ready to take the test, and I made flashcards, I made a Quizlet, I studied, I took notes, I highlighted, I did all this stuff, I watched videos, and I was almost ready to take it. And then my mom moved back to New York from California, and my dad moved to Texas, and that left me placeless. And at this point I was working 2 new jobs because the Orange Theory thing didn't go well. I didn't have a good experience. The managers weren't cool. They didn't accommodate for me when I made accommodations for them, of course. So anyways, I had 2 new jobs, so I was working 2 jobs. My parents are moving. I'm going to be living out of my car because I was like, I can't leave Ben again. I don't want to do long distance. I don't want to leave him. I moved back. We're together. Why is this happening? And I started to lose motivation, but also I was kind of trying to make a decision, and I was trying to decide where I wanted to be. I didn't know if I wanted to move. I was considering moving to New York. The first step that I took was I was like, I'm gonna move to New York, and I'm gonna live across the street from my mom. My mom lives with her dad, and across the street from them is my great grandma, and she offered for me to stay there rent free so I could just go to school and focus on that, and I strongly considered doing that. So that was originally the plan, and I told Ben, and I was like, I really don't want to do long distance again, and so we temporarily broke up. And because of the move and the fact that I was supposed to be moving shortly after the test date, I was like, I'll just have to reschedule it. But instead of rescheduling it, I forgot about it, and instead of just paying the like $100 reschedule fee, I lost the test voucher, and it was like $400 to get a new one. And I didn't even know if I wanted to do personal training. I lost interest in it. And that was really hard for me because I thought that I had a way. I thought I'd found a path for myself. I thought I found something sustainable, something that I could be passionate about, and something that I could help others with. And I just wasn't really into it. I realized that working out for me is a very individual thing. I don't go to group classes. I don't really like group classes. I don't really like working out. I like working out maybe with a buddy sometimes if like they can help me. But when it comes to like, oh yeah, let's just go to the gym, I don't find that fun. I find it fun to zone out and do my own thing and focus on myself and my body and the way I feel. And realizing that was really hard because I had spent so much money, and my boyfriend had spent so much money getting me that opportunity. I lost it, so I didn't even have it anymore. I lost the desire to do it, And so I wasn't gonna spend $400 to take the test when I didn't have the desire anymore. So I was really, really heartbroken by that, and that was a very difficult thing for me to face, and I felt really hopeless. So I moved to Texas again instead of New York because I knew friends there. I knew that there were a lot of people there that were similar to me. I knew that anything happened, whatever happened, my aunt and my grandma and their household would always, one, welcome me, and two, like, be a safe space for me. As you've seen in some of my other videos, my dad and I can have a really rocky relationship, and we live together now, and it's good, and we've kind of like mended bridges and everything. But I was really scared of moving in with the potential of moving in with him. I had a whole support system here, so I moved here. I worked at the dog care and day spa, VCA, the VCA Premier, whatever. And I bathed dogs, and I played with dogs, and I was with dogs all day, and I was like, oh, maybe I want to be an animal behaviorist. And so then in my head, I'm like, okay, maybe that's what I want to study. And I started looking at colleges around the area that like studied animal behavior, and that was seriously what I was considering doing. My boyfriend bought me a bunch of books from Half Price Books about dogs and dog behavior, and was like, are you gonna use these? And I'm like, yes. And I was so passionate and so motivated, and then I just lost it. I was working there, and I started to hate the people because the manager was just really bad. Like, all of my coworkers that are still there, I feel so bad for them because they're good people, but they're letting themselves get taken advantage of, like, really hardcore. So I left there, and I didn't know what to do. I ended up getting a new job, and school was just, I had no idea what I wanted to do. Again, I felt lost, so I just dove into these videos because I love these videos. And part of the reason why it's always been hard for me to choose a major is because I'm like, one day I'm just gonna get internet famous, and then I'll just make a bunch of money, and that's the goal, because I'm a dreamer. And I believe so strongly that if I put all this effort and I make all these videos and I connect with people, that it'll do something for me. And what I had to soon realize, well, not soon, it took several years for me to realize that that's not what's going to make people like my videos. What's going to make people like my videos is the fact that I'm doing it because of you guys, because I want to connect with people, and not because I want to make money out of it. I want it to be a hobby, and then if it turns into something that people like enough to make money off of it, that's great and that's fantastic, but that's not, I shouldn't put that much pressure on my passion, because then I'll scare it away, and then it'll be one of the string of things that I have just lost in the past and not been able to hold on to. I had to do a lot of soul searching. That's around when I started doing the meditation challenge. That's when I started like working out way hard and just being really there for myself and really focusing on building myself up. Then the whole raw alignment debacle happened, where, if you're not familiar with it, I followed Raw Alignment because the first video I saw of her was going from living in a van to 6 figures, and I'm like, that's the goal. I would like to one day live in a van and then have 6 figures, like, or live in a van with 6 figures, whichever it is, I would love to do that. So I was interested, I clicked on the video, and I got really into her. I was vegan for a while, and at the time she was a big role model, but her credibility started to dwindle because she didn't have a degree. A lot of the things she talked about were based on like some books that she read and like some ideas that she had. And while I can respect that, and while I am similar, I think that you don't need school for certain like sets of knowledge. Other things like nutrition she would try to talk about without any technical knowledge. And then there was the fact that she was vegan, but then she didn't tell everyone that she wasn't vegan anymore at a certain point, and she was like, wow, like my health was dwindling, and oh my god, look at me. And so everybody was like, okay girl, you're like talking about being a nutritionist, but you're also talking about being vegan, and then also talking about how being vegan wasn't good for you because it wasn't good for your body because you were having all these symptoms. Like, how can we trust anything you say? And that really hit me in a place that kind of made everything click into place. I realized I wanted to do this. I wanted people to listen to me, and I wanted people to value my opinion because I come from a place of knowing. Also, I want to go to school. I want to study something that I'm passionate about. I want to have that to back up. I want the experience. I want to take classes. I want to learn. I want to be more educated as a person. And so I realized this was so important for me. All I needed to do was figure out what I wanted to major in. And I have so many supporters in me going back to school that it was very easy for me to gain like people being like, yeah, go for it, and then I really started to want it. And I've always wanted to go back to school this whole time. If you notice, I've dabbled in it. I just never committed to it because I didn't know what I wanted to do. So I started to narrow it down, and I don't even remember the exact moment, but when I was in California visiting everybody, I was like, you know what? I want to go get a second job so I can catch up financially and like catch up, make a lot of money obviously make a lot of money financially, but make a lot of money. And I want to take online classes through ASU. And I'm like, okay, this is a good idea. I'm gonna do this because I'll be making a bunch of money and because my school will be free. It'll be covered by my work. And I started thinking about it. I'm like, I love YouTube. I love making videos. And I want to know how to get better at it. I want to get better at my brand. So I was like, okay, let's do majoring in marketing and minoring in film. And I'm so excited. I'm so excited, and I'm so glad that I did it this way, because while it would have been ideal to skip a lot of the things that happened leading up to this point, I'm really, really, really happy that I took the time to know what I really want and to really learn more about myself and who I am, because I didn't know who I was and I didn't know what I wanted to do or who I wanted to be not too long ago, and now I do. And now I have an idea, and it's not something I was interested in for a month and now it's like fleeting. I actually feel in my heart that this is what I want to do and who I want to be. The funny thing is that senior year, when everybody was applying to schools, everybody receives all kinds of things about like, go to this school, go to that school, apply, spend a bunch of money on it. But one thing that I received that was actually really, I thought about it, was a scholarship offer for a Catholic school in New York. And I am not religious at all. I'm spiritual. I respect religion, but I could never see myself going to a Catholic school. However, the scholarship was for about $20,000 a year to total about $80,000, $86,000 for my entire school experience. And I always wonder what it would be like if I went to that school. But I realized I likely wouldn't have any of the relationships that I do now. Benjamin and I likely, almost definitely would not have lasted, would not have been able to make that work. I would have had that college experience and it would have been great and I would have learned a lot, and part of me does still wish that I had that. But the other part of me is really, really proud of who I am, because I am a really quality person, a really quality human being. I put a lot into being the best person I can be, and I am a lot more mature than I was 2 years ago. If current me met myself 2 years ago, first of all, I'd be like, girl, you need to hop on a treadmill, because I just was really lazy. I probably wouldn't like her very much. I would be like, girl, we got a lot to learn. And then 2 years later from her, then I would like morph into like this even more like evolved person. And I would get like glasses that are like permanently tattooed on my face because I'd be that freaking smart and like have that much worldly knowledge, because I'd have like 2 years and then like move later, and then I would be like, oh my god, all this acquired like experience, and then I'm like this mutant person, all these things, and maybe I'd get a scholarship, or like I would have gotten experience. I would have gotten discovered on YouTube earlier, and then it would have just set me up good. Anyways, guys, thank you guys so much for watching this video. I really hope that if you are thinking about going to school, if you're thinking about if you want trade school, whatever, do what is going to make you happy, but also what is going to be stable and secure for you in the long run. Always have a plan B, always have a backup plan, because when I went to beauty school, I had no backup plan, and I'm like, well, okay, this was my backup plan and now it's not anything. So also take other people's input and do listen to people that have experience in certain topics that you're not experienced in, but use all of the voices that you hear and all of the input, and only save the ones that are actually relevant to you, and use them to compile your own opinion and to make your own path for yourself. Wisdom is important, but it's also important to follow your heart and to do something that's going to make you happy. Alright guys, hit that subscribe button if you want to see more videos like this. Hit the like button if you enjoyed this video, if you'd like me to make more videos like it. If you want to know more about my crazy life up to this point, leave a comment down below if you've been through a similar experience, if you took a gap year, or if you're wondering about what you want to do, or you want to talk with me about what your plans are and what you're not sure about. leave a comment down below. I would really love to talk to you guys. But other than that, thank you guys so much. Have a great rest of your day, your week, your month, your existence. And I hope to connect with you guys soon.